I'm about to show you how I make my world famous keto friendly broccoli cheese soup. That's coming right up. When I make my broccoli cheese soup, I always use my big blue Dutch oven. Works excellent. Nice piece of equipment to have. All right, so I have a white onion here that I'm gonna cut up and have it ready to go into my soup. I generally use a green bell pepper. For the soup. They're a little less expensive where I am, but I happen to have this one in the refrigerator, so I'm going to use it today. Several cloves of garlic here to pop up and peel and put into my soup here. Okay, I have washed up some broccoli here, quite a bit, a couple of large heads of broccoli here, and I'm going to cut this up to get it ready for the soup. And I don't plan to waste any of this broccoli, not even the stem. We're going to use the whole thing here and not waste any of it for this soup. So I'm cutting these very heads here and just kind of letting them just fall apart, putting them in a bowl over here to the side. As we get close to the end of making the soup, we'll add this in the last few minutes so that every time you take a bite of soup, you will get a little piece of broccoli in every spoonful. That makes it so good and so homemade tasting. And you can see I've separated out the kind of the big chunks of the stems with the florets chopped up fairly finely in a different bowl here, so that I can add these in different times at different ways, because I want to keep these florets to put in sort of last. But you'll see what I do with these stems. All these bigger pieces go on this side. All right, I'm grating in. I use about 8 ounces of extra sharp cheddar cheese. Getting this ready to go in. Don't even bother with mild cheddar cheese. I like mild cheddar cheese has no place in my kitchen. I want that strong cheddar taste in my broccoli cheddar soup. Otherwise, you're going to think you bought this at Panera Bread or something. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do after I cut up my vegetables is just lay out all my ingredients, have them ready. I got a stick of butter there, my olive oil. That's some chicken broth that I canned myself, looks like about a year ago. This is onions and my broccoli, the florets on one side and the stems on the other. My garlic, my bell pepper, red bell pepper, some whipping cream. There's my cheese I grated back there, and then my spices, salt and pepper, rosemary, basil, thyme, cayenne pepper, and paprika. And that's pretty much all I need. Don't put too much rosemary in. One time I put too much rosemary in, it was too much of a good thing. Over here I have the Dutch oven all ready to go, and the Vitamix blender. There's the regular blender I use for little stuff, kind of every day, but today it's time to bring out the big dog, the Vitamix. So we're ready to go. All right, let's turn on some heat here to this Dutch oven. I'm gonna set the lid aside for a little bit. And first thing I'm gonna do is sprinkle some olive oil off in the bottom of here. And I'm also going to put about a tablespoon of butter in there. I use salted butter because that's what I buy, because that's what I eat on my bread and stuff. Most of your professional cooks will tell you to use unsalted butter, but I use salted butter. All right, so we've got that kind of warming up there. We'll go ahead and put in my onion. I put more onion, I think, than the recipe probably calls for, but I like onions, so it's quite a bit of onion. I don't know, that's about right, I think. And I'm gonna go ahead and put in my broccoli stems, the big stems. And I'm just gonna let this cook until it really starts to get some color. We're gonna caramelize those onions a little bit. And once we start to get some color in that, then we'll be ready to move along. Okay, as we start getting close on this right here, as these onions start to caramelize and this starts to lighten up, or actually get some color to it, I'm gonna go ahead and put my garlic in there and let it start to cook. You don't wanna put your garlic in too early, like at the very beginning, because it can overcook, but it's time to get that in there now and let that be cooking with the rest of that. All right, so now that's getting, while that's cooking there, we're gonna go ahead and get some spices in there. We've got some salt, some black pepper, and some fresh ground black pepper is awesome, 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 awesome. I'll probably put a little more than most people do. And let's go ahead and put some paprika over that. It's good stuff. Cayenne pepper. A little bit of thyme. A tad bit more maybe. Put the thyme there. Basil, love basil. Basil's awesome. Love it on my pizza. I grow it fresh in the summertime. And I wish I had some fresh right now, but it's middle of the winter, almost spring, and I just don't have any. And I sprinkle just a little bit of rosemary in there. But in the summertime, I have an abundance of basil, and I should dry it and keep some for the winter. I don't know why, I just haven't really done that yet. And you see how that's starting to kind of get a dark on the bottom there. This is really getting ready. Really getting ready. Actually, I didn't put this on camera, but I actually took one jalapeno and cut it in there. I've never done that before, but I like jalapenos, and I want to see what a jalapeno in there, how it will affect the taste. Generally, jalapeno and cheese stuff go together, so we're going to try that. But you see, this is all brown though. Those onions are brown. The bottom of that pan's brown. So now I'm going to take my chicken broth and deglaze this with a whole quart of chicken broth. And we're going to turn that heat up. I was on medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and turn that heat up and try to get this up to a simmer now. All right, so we're rocking along here, except as I was moving things around and organizing or whatever, I set my red peppers aside, and then they didn't get put in here. So I put them on a separate pan and softened them up in some oil, and I'm adding them now. Better late than never. Just sort of ignore that you saw that. I'm not a professional chef. I never said I was a bro. Just, So anyway, I'm bringing this up to a simmer here. And then once it gets to a simmer, I'm gonna let it simmer for about 5 minutes. Get all that stuff cooking in together there. All those tastes going in together. So this has been simmering here for a few minutes. And so what I'm gonna do, I've got my holy spoon here, and I'm gonna take and I've already started here transferring these vegetables over to my blender and trying not to get too much of the liquid in there. I just want the vegetables. And it looks like the steam might be coming up and steaming over my camera. I don't know, we'll see here if you can see this, but that's what I'm doing. Trust me if you can't see it, that's what's happening. Just taking all those vegetables out so that I can blend this up in the Vitamix. So here I am over at the blender now. Got my vegetables in there, and I'm just gonna try to pulse these up a little bit. And then, after I get this up to a certain spot here, I'm gonna begin putting in my liquid. Sorry you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just putting the rest of the liquid from the pan over into the blender. I need 2 cameras here. I'm just filming this with 1 camera. All right, so we've got all of that in there now. I'm gonna really liquefy this. Okay, so I'm back over the Dutch oven now, and I have heated up some butter in there. And I'm gonna take these broccoli florets and dump those right in there. I'm gonna spread those out in that butter. Move these around just enough to keep them from burning, but we wanna cook these until they get some good dark green color in them. This is gonna make for the chunkiest broccoli cheese soup you've ever eaten. It's gonna be chunky. All right, so this has been cooking here now for a couple of minutes, and you see how dark green that has turned. We almost want to char that right down there and get it soft. That's a lot of broccoli florets, even for this amount of soup I'm making. I'm making quite a bit. So this is the blender of soup that we had. Some people will sift this out to get it, you know, all the little pieces out and everything, but I don't do that because I just like having all that in there. So we're gonna add this in back into that broccoli. Get all that out that I can. And here we go. Let's stir this around real nicely. Here in a minute, I'll give it a taste test and just make sure my salt and everything's okay. If you use unsalted butter like most professional chefs do, you probably put a little more salt in than I do. But be careful, we're about to put a bunch of cheddar cheese in there, and cheddar cheese adds a salty taste to it, so you don't want to overdo it on the salt. Just try it here and see what it's like. So the next thing, we've got that simmering real slowly there. I'm gonna go ahead and put in some heavy whipping cream. Stir that around a little bit. And it's also time to go ahead and get our cheddar cheese in there. Oh, that's looking good. Smelling good too. Okay, so I'm letting this just all cook together here. All these ingredients just cook together. As I scoop in there, you can see all those florets come in there as little things to chew on in your soup. It's really awesome. This is the way I make my keto-friendly broccoli and cheddar soup. It's the best broccoli and cheddar soup I've ever had.